Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Listenercast.
It's us.
We're here.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Whitney.
And we're the Listenercast. And just by listening.
You too are a listener.
On the Listenercast.
It's so true. Guys, we're almost there.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. We're so close.
back.
We are so back. We are so close to being done. I'm actually ahead right now. I know you are as well.
Yes.
Did you finish the book?
No.
No. I'm really close. So yeah, we are. Oh my God, we're almost done. And then we go to Utah in like, what day is it? Oh, wow.
In a month, we will be back from Utah.
In a month, we will be back from Utah. It will also be your birthday a month from today.
Yes.
Wow. Yippee.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating.
Whitney, you know what's better than 24?
25. But yeah, so while I got Dragon Steel on the brain, we have ribbons. We will have ribbons.
We will.
They are in the mail. They are en route. Not en route, but they are ordered, and we will have them at Dragon Steel. So if you happen to be there and you happen to see us, we have three different ribbons,
and I kind of don't want to say.
Yeah, I don't want to share. We do have one that just says Listenercast.
Yes, we will share that one.
The other two we will not share.
They're secrets.
They're a secret. We will post them when we are out there, probably. And yeah, if you see us, just come say hi, and don't be afraid to ask for a ribbon if you see us. But yeah, other than that, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, great.
We got a comment. I'm making sure if it's something we need to address or if it was just a really sweet comment. It was just a really sweet comment from Emil. Thank you, Emil.
Thank you, Emil. You want to read the comment, or we're just going to leave it at that?
No, he did leave it. So he said, one thing that hit me at the beginning of the book, the whole vengeance pact and war on the Shattered Plains was to avenge Gavilar. And he was actually a real prick. And then he says, or she, I think it's a he, that looks like a man in the profile picture that really really
small. It's okay. We can just say,
I can see Emil. He's wearing some cool sunglasses.
We can also just say they if we want to stay gender neutral.
All caught up on your videos, and having to wait each week for the next one is too tough.
Oh, we should have done a too tough ribbon.
Oh well.
Next year.
Well,
thank you, Emil. It's very sweet. I know someone else had a similar sentiment, and I'm very thankful for all of you that are like listening as they come out. It's super cool. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. So without further ado, I guess let's get into part 2 then.
We're going to get into part 2. I just turned off my phone for no reason.
Okay. Part 2.
The interlude 1.
Sylphrena.
Syl is flying through the tower during a high storm. She goes and visits Cord, and then goes and speaks with the Stormfather. She asks him to change her, but he cannot. Then she goes and asks Dalinar for the same thing. He says he can't do so, but she can still help Kaladin. So the whole thing with Syl is she wants to feel Kaladin's like sorrow.
She wants to feel his pain.
Yeah.
She literally says like, I want to understand him, and asks, will you make me feel the darkness he does so I can understand it, so I can help him better I can help him better if I know him better.
Yeah. Which is very sweet. And I like Syl's perspective in this because we haven't really seen it, but it kind of like lets us in on what it's like to be a Spren, because she's not fully connected to the physical realm. And so like she still has that like, oh, she'll just kind of lose herself sometimes to like her emotions and everything, and like do kind of whatever like feels right.
Yeah. Let's see. I did have one more note. Oh yeah. When she is talking to Dalinar, she says he's different, isn't he? Worse, because his own mind fights against him. Dalinar says different, yes, But who is to say what is worse or better? We each have our own void bringers to slay, brightness, Sylphrena. No man can judge another man's heart or trials, for no man can truly know them. So, and she's still like, I want to try. Can you make me feel what he's going through? And Eleanor's like, I don't know how to do that.
Know.
So I just think that's a nice sentiment of like, you can never judge another person because of what they've gone through.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're feeling, etc. That's what I got.
Interlude 2.
Ja-Anat.
Ja-Anat in the Kholinar Tower feels Odium approaching, and 2 touched Windspren come, and she sends them away. She also sent a touched Radiant Spren to Urithiru to possibly bond Mraize. Odium comes and questions her where she has sent these Spren and tells her to focus on Taravangian instead of Urithiru.
I have no notes in this.
Either, but I liked it.
Yeah, because this is like, we know Mraize's Ghostbloods.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting that he's like wants to be radiant. He wants to be bonded.
Yes.
Yeah.
For his own
personal benefit.
Reasons.
Yeah.
That we'll get to.
It's true. Yeah.
Yes. I3.
Into the fire.
Taravangian tells his friends goodbye for the last time and afterwards burns his copy of the diagram.
Sure does.
Yep.
I mean, that's not the only copy, though, is it? Like, he gave copies to...
It's like his own personal copy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's the original? Well, I guess the original copies were like written on
the
walls
and everything.
So it'd be a little hard to preserve that.
I think it's just his copy. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't really have any notes. I will say I found it it's sad, and I feel bad for Taravangian.
I will never feel bad for that man.
It's not true. I feel bad for Taravangian, but that's like what makes him a good like antagonist.
Right.
Is the fact that you can feel bad for him, even though like he's not the good guy and is actively trying to stop our good guys.
Yeah, I guess. I just have a hard time feeling bad for him, even on days where he's like having a hard mental day. I hate you. I hate you. Please die.
Yeah, that's right. You little idiot can't think today, huh?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Whenever he's on page, I'm like, you stink.
You stink. Ew.
Ew. Ugh. Stinky. Anywho. Part 2. Our calling. Shallan, Adolin, Kaladin, Navani, and Venli. Chapter 20. The Unseen Court.
The trio are all overviewing the Lightweavers practicing. They are trying to figure out who the traitor is, and they decide whoever it is, they will leave them behind in Urithiru. However, Vale takes control and tells the ones most likely to be the traitor, that they'll be coming on the trip to Shadesmar. Vale remains in control the rest of the day, and when they return to the room, Shallan takes over and finds a message from Mraize. He says to keep in contact with him in Shadesmar using this funny box.
Yes. I actually don't have any notes in that chapter. It's a little bit of a shorter chapter.
It is a shorter chapter. I think we brought it up last time, but we're just like still fully Shallan is Shallan, and Vale is Vale, and Radiant's Radiant, and none of them are, and they're all separate, and they're all talking to each other now, and it's very fun.
It's interesting because I think about their dynamic a lot, and like whenever they are having conversations, like the three of them, I'm like, are you guys like, because are they all talking? Because sometimes she's like, oh, did I say that out loud or something? And so I'm like, are you talking out loud sometimes? Sometimes I'm like, are you just like speaking to yourself? Like, are you doing this in your head? Like, I'm always just so curious about how that all works.
You saying that makes me think maybe it's kind of like JD from Scrubs. Where people call him out and be like, you just look away and you're just talking to yourself in your head again, aren't you?
He's got
I feel like Shalon does that.
She has that. She just has like a constant internal monologue.
Oh yeah.
But it's not even her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have an internal monologue?
I wouldn't call it a monologue, but there's somebody in there.
Do you hear a voice when you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Because some people don't.
Really?
Supposedly. I heard that from somewhere.
Oh.
This might be a TikTok fact. And by that,
I like the quotations.
It might not be an actual fact. It might just be a lie.
I feel like I also like saw that on Tumblr like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Like some people don't have an internal monologue and some people can't, like the whole like, imagine an apple.
Oh, yeah.
What do you see? Can you turn the apple?
I think that's factual. So I guess that would make sense. It's like some people don't have that voice in their head. I have a voice in my head, but I would never call it a monologue.
Mm-hmm.
She monologues sometimes, but like not all the time.
It is a she. We do know that. Okay.
I don't know.
Does it sound like
nondescript voice? I don't think it. Well, now I'm thinking about it, it does sound like me, but if you would ask me on another occasion, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. Is that weird?
I don't believe that it doesn't sound like you, but
I just feel like it's like a nondescript, disembodied voice.
Okay.
But there's a creature.
Listeners, tell us, do you have an internal monologue? And if so, what does it sound like?
Yeah, does it sound like your actual voice?
Does it sound like a version of your actual voice?
Yeah, maybe it is like a version. I don't know. I'm going to think about that forever now. Okay, chapter 21, The Seething Knot.
The Seething Knot. Adolin is picking out what to wear for his trip and goes and visits Kaladin before he leaves. Later at the Oathgate, he looks over to the group. Dalinar, Yasna, and Taravangian come and wish them goodbye and good luck. Then it's just Adolin and Dalinar, and man, do they have some things to say to each other.
Yeah, I like that you said he's packing for his trip. He's picking out what to wear.
And then he has to go see his bestie before he leaves.
Yeah, him and Dalinar kind of get into it for a second.
Yeah.
I do have that marked right here. He says, Dalinar says, I merely want you to be the best man that you can be. A better man than I was at your age. I know that's the person you really are, and I want you to represent me well. Is that such a terrible thing? And Adolin responds with, I don't represent you anymore, father. I'm a high prince. I represent myself. Is that such a terrible thing? Dalinar sighed. Don't go down this road, son. Do not let my failings drive you to rebel against what you know is right, merely because it's what I wish of you. I'm not, Adolin made fists trying to squeeze out his frustration. I'm not simply rebelling, father. I'm not 14 anymore. And Dalinar says, no, when you were 14, you looked up to me for some reason. And then it says, you see Taravangian out there? Do you know how he sees the world? At any cost, any price is worth paying if what you want to achieve is in the end worthy. Follow him and you'll be able to justify anything. Lying to your soldiers, necessary to get them to do their work. Gathering wealth, you need it to further your important goals. Killing innocents, all to forge a stronger nation. He eyed Adolin. Murdering a man in a back alley than lying about it, well, the world is better off without him. In fact, there are a lot of people this world could do without. Let's start removing them quietly. And then Adolin, in his head, thinks maybe I murdered Sadeas, but at least I never killed anyone innocent. At least I didn't burn my own wife to death.
Yeah.
There it was, the seething knot deep inside him, the one Adolin didn't dare touch lest it burn him. He knew Dalinar had been a different man then, a man not in his right mind, betrayed, consumed by the power of one of the unmade. Besides, Dalinar hadn't killed Adolin's mother on purpose. One could know these things without feeling them. And this wasn't something you forgave. And then it says he just pushes that back down. Mm-hmm. So.
Like a real man.
No.
Push it down.
No.
Don't talk about your emotions and your thoughts.
Feel your feelings.
Don't.
Don't listen to Ryan. This is it's interesting that we kind of get to see, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like Adolin and Renarin were going to be upset about their mom dying, obviously.
Right.
And of course, they learned the truth at some point. Mm-hmm. But we never really knew how they felt about it. And now we know that Adolin, it bothers him so deeply that this is something he has to like put away, or else he like cannot face his father without rage. Mm-hmm.
It's been like close to a year probably since they found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I understand.
I feel like if I found out my dad killed my mom, I feel like even if it was an accident,
right,
I think I would have a really hard time just forgiving that.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand where he's coming from.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One thing I kind of like noticed in this was, and I found it kind of funny now, like looking back on it, the person that he went to go see before he left was Kaladin. Mm-hmm. With this conversation, and it's kind of been hinted at a little bit, Dalinar wants Adolin to be better than he is.
Right. I mean, I think any parent probably has that feeling of like, because I mean, everyone screws up in their life, and at what extent you do, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But you always want your kid to be better than you were. Like, I think that's not part of the point, but definitely like goes into it.
Kaladin's like going through the same thing with his dad. His dad wants him to be better than what he is.
Right.
So, and I would be curious to see if we ever got them speaking about that with one another.
Kaladin and Adolin?
Yeah.
That would be really interesting if we did.
Yeah. I feel like we might be a little too late into the story for it. But like they're going through similar things with their fathers.
Yeah.
In almost the exact same way. Mm-hmm. Like, and I just found it interesting now looking back that Adolin choosing to go see Kaladin, and then the character who we know has been going through this, and then having this conversation with his father, who's basically saying the same things that Kaladin's father has been saying to him. So,
yeah. Dang, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Just some like nice little motifs and themes kind of crossing between characters.
It'd be cute if we ever got a little side Adolin Kaladin.
We just need a beach episode book. We just need a beach episode book. We're going to get another novella called Horn Eater.
Oh, are we?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
I think it's going to be about rock, probably.
Probably
if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But I want a novella where it's just a beach episode. Why don't we put it in a week?
Yeah.
Make it at an actual beach. Let's just have characters talk and interact. I would love that.
Some fan fiction writer out there.
And that's what fan fiction is for, isn't it?
Get on that. All right. You ready to move on?
Yes, I am ready to move on with the next chapter in the book Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson.
Words of Radiance?
Whoa. Yeah, we're going back in time.
All right. Chapter 22, A Rhythm of War. No use talking.
Yes. Adolin and the group move down the ramp from the Oath Gate and get some good character interactions on the way to the barge of the Peakspren. On the barge, Jalon checks her trunk and realizes the cube has been moved.
Yeah, I think it's I actually don't have any notes in this chapter.
We meet some cool new Spren.
That's true. We do.
We meet a Miss Spren and the Peakspren.
Yes.
I like Wapam a lot.
I do as well. Oh, we didn't even mention the stump is here.
The stump is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she talks to Adolin, and she's just like, the children, they named me the stump.
Yeah.
And she just loves kids, and I love it.
I know, because like in Edge Dancer,
yeah,
she seems such like the crotchety old orphanage lady, and then like come to find out she actually just like cares so much.
Yes.
And I love her.
I love the stump. She's so fun.
Yeah, she's awesome. I also, this like cube that Maireys uses to talk to Shallan, I want to say is like the most like high tech thing we've kind of gotten in these books. Because like we do have like a lot of technology, but like the way they are described, or like it's able to like be described away by the magic system in the world. And this is one that it's just like, there's a talking box.
We get a lot of off-world stuff in this book.
We do.
A lot of like, off-world stuff.
There's so much, and I definitely have pointed it out in chapters.
Yeah.
I won't talk about it now because I've read ahead, so I don't want to say something if it's not in this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to it when we get to it. All right. Did you have anything else for that chapter?
No, not really. Just kind of touching on that.
Okay, great. Chapter 23, Binding Wounds. Kaladin
and Syl dress some wounds and decide to help a woman find her uncle. Kaladin finds Teft in the infirmary, who has decided to step down from active duty. The two then begin to search for Norrell.
Yeah.
This just touched my heart.
Yeah, I have the Teft thing marked.
Go on then.
Kaladin says, Teft, you were mobilized. Why aren't you with everyone else? Teft says, can't go. Too much wrong with my brain. Went and spoke to the Blackthorn, and he said it would be a good idea for me to step down. Teft, you're doing better. You have no reason to step down from duty. Teft shrugged. Felt like it was time. Got a bit of a cough, too. And an ache in my knee, even when there aren't storms. War's for young kids, not all dried up pieces of bark. Hesina cocked her head, seeming confused, but Syl landed on Kaladin's shoulder and gasped at seeing Teft, then clapped excitedly. Rock is gone, Teft said, and Moash. Moash is worse than gone. Sigzil needs to lead the rest of them, without me being baggage to bother him. You and I were the start of this, though. Figure we ought to stick together. And there's a moment after this where he's like, you can't follow me here. And he says, I order you back to duty. And Teft says, orders? You ain't got no knots on your shoulders now, lad. You can't order me to do anything. And then he sits down in a chair, folds his arms. I feel sick, not right in the head. Nobody can argue with that.
God, I love Teft.
I do too.
Just so Kaladin's not alone, dude.
I know.
That's the homie.
Teft has like consistently been there like the whole time because he's like the one that kind of figures out what's going on with Kaladin initially since he like grew up in the Invisagers and whatever. And then like just the whole time, every time Kaladin experiences some big life change, you like look over your shoulder.
There's Teft.
Teft's right there. Kind of awesome.
So chapter 24.
Full of awe.
The Shallan trio discuss the Ghostblood's plan, and Vale goads Shallan into taking control. Shallan draws for hours and talks to Dreaming Though Awake, and the Spren says to ask the Heralds about the Unmade. I have no notes for this chapter.
I don't either. I mean, you touched on everything. I do love the Spren names. Like Dreaming While Awake.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know. It just seems nice.
I found myself, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I know outside the podcast, when we started this book, we both said we weren't big on the Shadesmar portions.
That has changed for me this time around.
Me too.
And I don't know if it's because like I'm listening to it more this time because I've been like mostly like digesting this while I've been at work.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I just and maybe it's because I am this many rereads into it, but Shadesmar is like a much more vivid setting for me this time around.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of easier for me to imagine everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just feel like the first 2 times I read this book, like I was not super sold on the Shadesmar scenes.
Yeah.
And this time around, I've been much more like engrossed by them than
Completely
I have
agree.
like the last time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially later in the book, like the stuff that happens later in the book, I've just been so like, those were the parts that I hated the most. And then now I'm like, why did I ever dislike these? Like,
yeah, like I never like truly disliked them per se, but I
felt like they dragged.
Yeah, for sure. But now I'm just like, because I guess I'm focusing on more of like the world building stuff. Like we've said it, and it's not worth like repeating. Just like, oh yeah, all these different Spren, and like, oh, aren't they so funny? And they all have different like quirks and stuff, which is true. Like we don't need to talk about that because you're just going to read it and see it. But like, yeah, with the Mist Spren and the Peak Spren, and then there's another one. There was there's another. It's Godeki's Spren.
Oh, I can't think of what it is, to be so honest with you. You can go back a couple chapters.
It's Cultivation Spren.
Cultivation Spren.
Yeah, but I don't remember their name.
Right.
But yeah, just interacting with these new characters and everything. It's just very nice and it's very fun. And like, especially right now, it's such just kind of like a nice break.
Yeah, because I feel like we've been with the same characters for so long, and while it's not like so many new characters that you're like overwhelmed, it is just kind of like a nice change of pace to have some newer personalities introduced into the circle.
Because we're still focusing on Shallan and Adolin during these.
But it is nice to get some more diversity as far as, I would really say personalities is what it comes down to for me. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Chapter 25.
Devotary of Mercy.
Kaladin and Teft find Norrell at the Devotary of Mercy and are appalled with the conditions. They convince Norrell to come outside. The man opens up and Cal takes him under his care, tells the man in charge that he'll be back for more.
Yeah, this chapter is really like kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, the dog just walked in the room. Your ear's inside out, buddy. Oh, he fixed it. Wow. He listened. Anyways, like this whole time our perception of the Ardents and the Devotaries and everything is that they are the holy people. They always do what is right. They're here to help people. So then for Kaladin and Teft to go into this devotary, and it's like horrible conditions for people that have mental health problems.
Dark.
Yeah. If I was depressed and you put me in a dark room, which I did when I had depression really bad when I was 16, because my mom was like, you want to paint your room? And I said, yeah, let's paint it dark gray and get blackout curtains. That's why I will never paint a room a dark color again. I love the sunlight. I love natural light.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But no wonder I was as depressed as I was when I was in high school. But like, if you put me in a dark room when I have depression, that would just make it so much worse.
Yeah. And they keep them isolated and everything. Like,
yeah. And that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
You need to socialize.
Guys, yeah. Maybe when you're sad, maybe you should talk to somebody and be less sad.
Yeah. Have you ever considered that relationships and friendships are a beautiful thing and they help you feel better? Not the Ardents, apparently.
Just push it all down. Don't think about it.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I did have it marked right here in this chapter where Norrell is saying, it'd be better for everyone if they just like didn't have to deal with me. And Kaladin says it wouldn't be, better for everyone if you vanished. Your niece loves you. Your return would make her life better. Norrell says, I can't feel that way. Kaladin says, I know. That's why you need someone to tell it to you. You need someone to talk to, Norrell, when the darkness is strong. Someone to remind you that the world hasn't always been this way, that it won't always be this way. And Norrell's like, how do you know this? And Kaladin says, I felt it, and I feel it most days. And Teft then says, a man can't hate himself because of what he's done or not done. I used to, still try to sometimes, but I keep reminding myself that's the easy path. It isn't what they would have wanted of me, And then Norrell's like, yeah, thanks for talking to me. And then they're like, we're getting this guy out of here. So, but I think that it's a very nice scene.
It's a very nice, it's a very touching scene.
Yeah, and for Teft and Kaladin, like,
yeah, because it's nice to see both of them be very self-aware. We saw Kaladin do this in Oathbringer and everything, like, you know, saying like, oh, I can't go back to being that type of person and everything. Right. And obviously we see Teft overcome this in Oathbringer as well. So it's just nice.
Yeah.
It's just very, very pleasant.
Healing. A healing journey. All right. You ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. Chapter 26. A little espionage.
A little espionage. Shallan once again finds the cube moved. She goes and talks to her Lightweavers, telling each of them a different corrupted spren was seen.
She sure does. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find what notes.
I didn't write it down, but she does it to see which one is reporting back to Mraize.
Yes. Who is the spy?
Yes.
Let's see. I marked something here. Sometimes it's like when I read these so long ago between us, like recording, I'm like, what was I cooking? Oh yeah, this moment where she's like talking to Beryl, and in her head it's because she's convinced the spy is Beryl, because Beryl's the one that last minute gets thrown onto this trip.
Right.
And it says Shallan found her mind spiraling around her past, the things she had done, because it says, my God, I didn't finish my complete thought there. Up a couple lines up, it says you're uncomfortable around Beryl. It's because she seems to have a greater handle on her life when you assume she should be worse at it. And then it says, Shallan found her mind spiraling around her past, the things she had done, the things she was still hiding from, wearing this face that she pretended was her own, that she pretended she deserved. Shallan could be happy, but that happiness was built on lies. Would it not be better to accept what she really was, become the person she deserved to be? Formless, who had been hiding deep inside these last few days, stirred. She'd forgotten. She thought him forgotten, but he had been waiting, watching. And then she just whispers, help. And Beryl goes, brightness? And then Radiant immediately takes over. And she says, you are to be commended for your diligence, Beryl. You say that this method of soul casting has helped Vatha, etc., etc. Not relevant to what I was talking about anymore. So, one, she identifies Formless as a he right here, which is really interesting.
Does she? Wait, whoa.
Yeah. She thought him Formless, who had been hiding deep inside her these last few days, stirred. She thought him forgotten, but he had been waiting, watching.
Interesting.
Right? I'm assuming that's what that means.
Yeah.
So that's something. She identifies him as male, Formless, which is really interesting because the Formless we see later in the book is very curious. Anyways, we'll talk about that when we get there. But
I wonder if that's like a
typo? No, because it has the right pronouns. It has he
really?
And it says he and him right here.
He and him?
He and him.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, as if it was like, you know, maybe they missed the S on the she or something, but it's very specific.
Like, she and Shem.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know. I just picked up that when I was reading that just now.
Jokes aside, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was the first, when I just read it again, I was like, wait a minute. That was the first time I picked up on that. Initially, I didn't pick it up.
No,
for
like
that
completely,
reason.
like,
yeah,
ignored that.
We'll explore that more later, I guess. But yeah, it's really interesting that she like spirals so hard and then outwardly is just like, help. And Beryl's like, huh? And then Radiant immediately is like, everything's fine. Thank you so much for your work.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see how quickly just like one or two little things can just like send Shallan just absolutely down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. I had something marked here when she's talking to Vatha.
Yeah, go for it.
He says, relaxing isn't relaxing. Sit around too much and you start sitting around even more. Go across the planks rather than up and down. so you don't wear grooves. Yeah, like that. This does need to be done. The sailors used to scrub the wood every month, but they haven't had much help lately. Something about the Reachers not being around. What are the Reachers anyway? They're a specific bronze-skinned kind of spren, Radiant said. They were sailors on our previous voyage. Well, they aren't around as much to hire these days, I guess, Vatha said. Did the other say why? I didn't ask. Do you know what kind of spren the Reachers are?
No.
They're light spren.
Light spren.
Do you know what kind of spren Timber is?
He a light spren?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, correct me. But yeah.
Huh.
Because I'm going to look this up before I sound like a fool.
Before you start saying something crazy.
Before I start saying something crazy.
Well, while you were talking about that, there's a very cute moment with Vatha at the end of this chapter. And she says, it's whenever they're like kind of working together, and Vatha's like, you don't need to be doing this. And she's like, but I want to. And she says, hey, whatever you did, it's behind you. We accept you, Vatha. The Unseen Court is a family, which is the Lightweavers. And a family, he said with a grunt. Never had one of those before. I knew it, she said softly. What, that I was lonely? No, she said solemnly. That you were the child of a couple of particularly ugly rocks. He glared at her. You know, she said, since you have no family, must be rocks. It makes sense. He's like, really? We were having a moment. She smiled, putting her hand on his shoulder. It's okay, Vatha. I appreciate your sentiment. She got up to go. And then he goes, hey. She walks away and she glances back at him. He says, thanks for smiling.
It's very nice. I do, because like when we first meet Vatha, he's very much like no games, like no personality, no soft side to him.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing it.
Yeah.
And we also see that like from Beryl explains that Vatha has been helping her.
Yeah. And it's like
it's just so nice.
It is really nice. It's the first time we see like a soft side of Vatha. And then at the same time, it's
It's not the first time. We did see him cry.
That's true. In this instance.
Yeah.
It's nice to see a softer side of him. And as well as kind of the Shallan that I feel like we don't see as much further into these books. The little like punny, kind of playful type of Shallan that we see, because now she has all these responsibilities. She's like, you know, married to Adolin and is involved with the Ghostbloods and has 3 different personalities and just has all these things going on that we just don't get to see that Shallan that I feel like was really, really prevalent in like the Way of Kings.
Yes, very true.
So every time we get like a nice little moment like that, I'm like, oh, there she is.
There she is.
There she is.
I looked it up. Yes, Timber is a light spren, is a Reacher. Okay. So do you remember in Oathbringer when they're on the ship and all the Reachers, like they barely talk?
Mm-hmm.
And they mostly communicated through like the
rhythms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that so neat? Like that.
Now we see all the time with
Bentley. It's brought
Pulse.
back with Timber Pulse.
Interesting. Take a shot every time.
Take a shot every time Timber Pulse. You will die.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I never made that connection.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they're not around right now, because they got to go be will shapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's not really a spoiler. You know the 10th one, even though it hasn't been said in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're cooking there, Ryan.
Thanks.
Thanks. All right, we ready to move on?
An avocado.
Thanks. Yeah, move on?
Yeah, we move on.
Okay. Chapter 27, Banners.
Give me a second.
Oh, sorry.
Just give me 27?
Yeah, chapter 27.
Yeah, okay, chapter 27. Navani wishes the army goodbye. Later, her and her scientist are discussing some discoveries when someone approaches with a blinking span reed.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I only have one note.
Yeah? What is it?
And Navani goes, because they're like getting ready to leave. And Navani's like, no wit? And Yasna says, he promised to meet me in Azir. He vanishes sometimes and won't grace my questions with answers, not even mocking ones. And Navani says, there's something odd about that one, Yasna. And she says, you have no idea, Mother. The two of them stood facing one another.
Yes.
Until finally Yasna reached forward. What followed was the most awkward hug Navani had ever been a part of. Both of them making the proper motions but unenthusiastic at the same time. Yasna pulled away. She was regal. Technically, they were both of a similar rank, yet there had always been something about Yasna. Dalinar was a big rock of a man that you wanted to prod until you found out what kind of crystals were inside. Yasna was just unknowable. Storms, Yasna said under her breath. Mother, are we really so awkward that we embrace like teenagers meeting a boy for the first time?
That's fun.
It's so cute. It's so cute. I love them. I love Yasna. That's all I got though. But yeah, also just like being recognized of like wit, just like
going off,
just disappears. All right. Anything?
No.
All right.
28.
Chapter 28, Heresies.
Using means to locate where the correspondent is coming from, they move out to a balcony and continue the conversation. They find out it's a spren, and communication stops. Navani gets rid of the span read afterwards.
Oh yeah, she
does it to basically get another one delivered to her.
Right, so that they can like actually figure out
who is
writing.
Whomstid.
I don't have any notes on that chapter.
No, it's like 3 pages.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, but look at these misspren on this next page. Isn't it so cool?
Yes, they are very human.
Yeah. Human. Wow, that's cool. Sorry, I was trying to read the script.
The script on it. Yeah, the script is a little hard to read. Even in these bigger pages.
This
like
is
just
somebody's handwriting.
Yeah, probably Shalon's.
Probably.
If I had to make an educated guess. All right. Chapter 29, A Cage Without Bars.
The Shadesmar group finally make it to land. Shalon says that she will stay back with the ship so she can secretly talk to Maraise. In the town of Nameless, Adolin finds another Deadeye who has been killed recently. Soon, Godeki comes and tells him he's found a caravan of humans. What?
I actually have no notes, surprisingly. We do still see Maya doing the kata with Adolin every morning. That is still something that's happening. It is really interesting that there is another a new Deadeye.
Yes.
Like recently killed Spren. And like
Deadeye was a cryptic who stood beside a storefront. Cryptics didn't have eyes, but there was no mistaking that the creature had suffered Maya's fate. The pattern had halted completely. The normally graceful lines twisted and turned in jagged directions like broken fingers.
Yeah.
The same scraping marred its center. It's a very cool description. It also sounds very sad.
Yeah, and it says Maya released a kind of low whine from deep in her throat. And it's like obviously very distressing.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because like we know that there's Deadeyes for like pretty much every type of Spren that has bonded to Radiant. But it's really interesting to see, like we know how Pattern is as a cryptic. So to see that like the shape stops moving and it's not as like fluid and like it really is dead.
Yeah.
Like the way I kind of picture it in my brain is like, you know, you see like a tree like flowing in the wind and it's alive and it has all these beautiful leaves on it. And then like
you see a dead one next to it and then
it's just stick.
Yeah, stick.
Stick. Yeah.
I had this. She took his arm as if trying to walk off, which shocked him. It seemed to surprise her too, as she looked down at her hands holding his arm, then cocked her head. She held on and turned toward the Deadeye cryptic, pulling him. It was as if she wanted to say something. So this Deadeye has Maya acting strange too.
Yeah, like she's very clearly distressed.
Yes.
Yes.
And she's keeps doing things Deadeyes aren't supposed to be able to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The humanization of Maya.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Chapter 30.
The betrayal.
Vale talks to Maireys and learns that Beryl is the spy. Adolin and co. go to talk to the caravan and learn they are Tukari. And then they spot Notum. Shallan is going through it and makes Vale take over. Notum tells Adolin that he has been punished for letting Syl go and cannot return to lasting integrity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just have marked whenever her and Maireys are talking, and he makes a comment saying to watch out for signs of corrupted glory spren.
Uh-huh.
And it says Shallan almost dropped the cube in surprise. She intentionally hadn't mentioned the specific variety of spren, yet he called them glory spren, which is how she figures out that it was Beryl, because she had said to Beryl, like, hey, look out for corrupted glory spren instead of just corrupted spren. Let me see if I have any other notes, or else we can just kind of talk about. I think I do have a note. Oh yeah, I just marked where Notum also said, I was removed from duty for letting the ancient daughter go after capturing her. He says, I spent 5 months in prison, and when I was released, I was demoted to the lowest rank and honor spren can hold. I've been assigned to spend 2 centuries patrolling the empty land between here and lasting integrity, traveling back and forth endlessly. I'm not allowed to set foot in lasting integrity. I can see it, but not enter. And Adolin says, until when? Until your patrol is done? Until never, Prince Adolin. I am exiled. He looked up at the sky where shimmering lights revealed a high storm beginning to pass in the physical realm. I knew what I was doing, what I was tempting when I let you go. At least tell me, did you save him? The bondsmith? So Nadolin says, he saved us, actually.
Yeah, quite the opposite, actually.
But Notum is still, like, okay.
Yeah.
With the fact
that he chose to
do the right thing.
Yes. I had something marked here with Shallan and Vale.
Yeah.
I don't know, she said, rubbing her forehead. The remnants of her earlier hangover throbbing in the back of my mind. Do you remember me ever using a cube like this when I was younger? No, I did. I don't know how, but I did. I can't make sense of my own memories, though. Perhaps I can help you remember. She stared at the sketchbook. Shallan, I'm worried about you. You say that you're getting better, but I worry. Adolin agrees, though I don't think he sees what I do. What do you see? Something else looking out of your eyes sometimes. Something new. It comes out when I try to talk about your past, so I'm afraid to do it. Sometimes you tease that you want me to say more. Then those other eyes see me. There's another truth. Another... And she says, she makes Vale take over.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing more and more that we don't know all about Shallan's past.
Yeah, because I feel like we got so much information of just like, she killed her father and she killed her mother.
She killed her mama. And then like...
So it's like, she's obviously been through a lot of stuff. And even now, this far into the books, after learning that about her, there is still mystery to her and her past.
And that's why I love Shallan, because she is still an unreliable narrator.
That's real. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's just like Holden Caulfield. This is basically Catcher in the Rye, if you think about it.
I haven't read that book in long enough for that to like really hit for me, but I'm sure it will hit for somebody.
Yeah. If you liked my funny little joke, which I know you didn't, but if you appreciated it, let me know.
Oh my God.
I haven't read Catcher in the Rye since like 9th or 10th grade.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a pretty good book.
I read it after, like probably when I was in college, because I never read it when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like my class just never read that one.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I was like, oh, I want to read this. And I remember reading it and being like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember any of the plot points.
It's kind of just about the kid going into the city and being annoying.
I know
but it's like intentional because he's like a kid.
Yeah, I know like it's one of those books that like most psychopaths and serial killers like.
Well, yeah, it does make you want to kill John Lennon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will want to kill John Lennon when you read that book.
I don't think I want to elaborate on this anymore.
What? Oh, you didn't know about that? The guy who killed John Lennon said he was partially inspired by Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, I mean, I think I knew that information.
Yeah.
But I think we've elaborated enough on this. All right. Do you have any other notes for that chapter?
I don't.
All right. Chapter 31, Daughter of Traitors.
Venli is with Raboniel in the incursion group. She takes interest in the deepest ones, and Raboniel notices this. They go on to discuss the surges and the differences between radiance and fused.
Excuse me, I was yawning. I weirdly have two notes. I just because I kind of marked where Raboniel says, "What about the deepest ones interest you so? Why do you spend hours staring at them?" And Venli says, "I just find their powers fascinating." And she's like purposely trying not to lie. Raboniel says 9 brands of fuse, 9 surges. You know of the surges? The innate forces by which all life, all reality are connected. Gravitation, transportation, transformation. But I thought there were 10. Raboniel says that's human talk. Raboniel says to derision, they claim a 10th of honor alone. Adhesion is not a true surge, but a lie that was presented to us as one. True surges are of both honor and cultivation. Cultivation for life. Honor to make the surge into natural law. Things must fall to the ground, and so they created the surges to make it happen.
There was a spider on the ground.
Oh, is that what Nova's after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, unless you want me to get the spider and move it, if it makes you uncomfortable.
No, he's fine.
Okay.
I am not afraid of a spider. I am big, and they are small.
I like them. I am a big fan of what they do.
I was looking for a cup because I know you don't like killing spiders.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, if she does her hunter things, it'll be okay. But if not, we can put him outside later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Human talk.
Human talk.
That's human talk.
I love that.
Yeah. That is something I never really thought about the fuse, that they only have one surge. And it does seem stronger than the humans, but the humans have 2.
That's what I marked on the next page, actually. Yeah. And Venli says the Radiants have 2 surges each. The Fuse each have 1. So are the Radiants more powerful? And then Raboniel responds by saying, powerful, is it better to have more abilities or to have one ability handled expertly?
Yeah.
So, and then makes a comment being like, the humans aren't built for this world. We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you you mark down everything. Well, no, that's not true. When they're talking about the Makaim, the deepest ones, and like the surge of axial connection, the surge that binds the smallest pieces of all objects to one another, the surge that holds us together. The Makaim can melt their essence into the essences of other things, intermingling their axi. All things are mostly emptiness, though we cannot see that it is so. A stone, like a mind, exists to be filled by thought and investiture. Just a really, really cool explanation of these fused in a way that uses dumb fantasy lingo. But it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot. And I mean, even Venli says finally answers right after that.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's just very, very cool and interesting. And Axie will come up later.
Oh. We'll see, I guess.
We'll see. Yeah. That's all I had. You kind of hit you got what I got.
I mean, there's not a whole lot that happens in that chapter.
They're just like, ooh, we're under the tower.
Ooh, what's gonna happen?
What are they gonna do? Hint, hint. If you're listening to this right now, you probably know what they're gonna do.
True. All right. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Chapter 32 of 3 Minds.
The caravan is still following the Shadesmar group. Adolin tries to speak with Shallan, but just regresses further, leaving Vale in charge.
I have no notes.
I don't either.
Oh, slay.
They're very short chapters in this one, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's nothing really to kind of...
it's just more of the world building.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't really talk about the Tukari wagon last time.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
Because they were like, leave us alone. We don't want anything to do with you.
Leave Alethi.
Yeah. They wanted like nothing to do with them. And then, but now are following them.
Yeah.
Buh. I mean, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when we both go, at the same time.
Yeah, because we
okay. Well, should we move on to chapter 33 then?
I guess you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe we move on to chapter 30. The face you just made to me. I love it when you make that face because it's so. You make a certain face where you're just like, and it does not look like you. If that makes sense, but you do it consistently, so it should. But every time, like you do it, it's that one there, right there.
Oh, when I'm looking at you, like kind of shifty.
Yeah, I think you make a shifty face to me. It's
That's
very
so
funny.
I'm a very expressive person with my face, or so I've been told. You like whenever someone tells me information, I cannot hide that at all on my face. Like if someone tells me something absolutely wild, they're going to know how I feel about it pretty immediately. I have to work really hard if someone tells me something and I have to be like stone face about it.
Yeah.
I have to be like, But in my brain, I'm just like, oh my God.
I've been told I'm very
very stone face.
Yeah. Like I'm very just.
We're very opposite in that way.
Monotone.
Yeah. I'm very expressive. I feel like, well, my voice, I wouldn't always say I'm expressive. Yeah. That's the autism though. I do have a flat affect sometimes. But yeah, I think I'm like overly expressive also because I am autistic and I like watched people so long when I was like a kid that I was like, oh, if I need to express something, I need to use my face. Ooh, but now it just is.
I'm a theater actor.
Yeah, but now it's just embedded in the way that I exist. So.
I just have always been monotone my whole life. And some people find it funny. And then some people who don't know me
find it off-putting, I think. Yeah. Don't let Ryan be off-putting.
I'm not off. This is just how I am. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Chapter 33, Understanding.
Kaladin creates group therapy.
You're right. I mean, this chapter is like literally a page, 2 pages.
Yes.
He does create group therapy.
He creates group therapy.
Shout out Kaladin.
I really like this chapter. All 2 and 1/5 of a page. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also, at the beginning of these chapters, I've been kind of ignoring these on purpose.
The before chapter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There's only like one that I'll bring up later, and we might have already passed it. I
haven't been looking at them.
It's just in response to Wit again. From a character.
Yep.
That's in a different series that we won't talk about.
Yep.
No. But it's been very interesting because he does say in one of these something pretty cool and something that I find very neat, and I'm just making sure.
I can like hear the pages flipping on the microphone.
Yeah, you like that, listeners?
Some ASMR for you today.
I guess we'll get to it when we get to it.
All right. Well, I guess we should move on to chapter 34 then.
34? You say?
A flame never extinguished.
Adolin speaks with the group to figure out how best to approach the honor sprint. Vale and Radiant decide that Beryl is not the spy. Nodum comes and bids them farewell. Adolin and Shallan have some good heart-to-heart moments.
It's true. Let's see. I just have a world building note. If you have anything like plot related, go for it.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead though.
I guess like we were talking about earlier, I was saying earlier, how Shadesmar feels much more involved to me this time. Like I can imagine a lot better.
Yeah.
So I found this a lot more interesting this time around.
I think that's also, sorry, not to interrupt you. I feel like that's also because the last time we were in Shadesmar, in like the very, very small times we were in like the first two books, we were in moments of the book where it's just like, we gotta get to somewhere fast now.
Yeah.
We didn't get to like spend a lot of time there. So now it's like a lot slowed down and it feels like we're on a journey together. There's not been any like imminent threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably also part of it. But yeah, so Vale and Adolin are on a walk. It says he led the way through a hollow in the obsidian where the strange rock mimicked a rolling wave. The constant sound of clacking beads became a quiet hum as they moved further from the shore, and Shallan stirred again. The landscape here was so interesting. Plants grew like frost here, coating much of the obsidian, and they crackled wherever she and Adolin stepped, breaking and tinkling to dust. Larger plants grew like cones, with spirals of color in their translucent skin, as if crafted by a master glassblower. She touched one, expecting it to be fragile like many of the other Shadesmar plants, but it was sturdy and thick. Tiny Spren watched them from beneath the leaves of small clumping trees, jagged lightning branches made of something that wasn't quite glass, for it was too rough to the touch, sprouted silvery leaves that felt metallic and cold. The Spren hopped from one branch to another, little more than shadows of swirling smoke with large eyes. So yeah, I just thought the description of that was really interesting on like how the landscape looks, but also I liked the imagery of the Spren kind of in the trees, like you would see like birds or other like kind of like woodland creatures, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just interesting. And Shallan is really struggling here as well. Yeah.
It's no specific note, but it's just the whole thing about Adolin's sword.
Yeah.
With like one of the first women that he courted at 14.
What page are you on?
447.
I was like, what? Oh, we don't have the same page numbers.
Like it's just him and Shallan and they go and see the Star Spren.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, how did I ever manage to scoop you up? And he's like, because I ruined all my other relationships and everything.
Yeah.
He talks about how the girl that he was seeing, like when he was 14 and she was a little older, she said, she kept talking about how she loved swords and how I was supposed to have a great sword and how she wanted to see me wield my sword. And I bought her a sword. And that's all to say, like, that's a very funny moment. But they are just like laughing with each other.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how much they do love each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just a very important moment that we got because all last book, obviously they're married now and we know this.
Yeah.
There was a whole like Kaladin, Shallan, Adolin love triangle thing. And then at the end of the book, it was like Shallan is just like, I love you, idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the innuendo with the sword because we don't get like any spice in these Sanderson books. Mm-hmm. So I really just like that we get an allusion to it. And then Adolin's like, I bought her a sword. She kept talking about swords, which is awesome. I wish I could talk about.
And he's like, I was 14.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about swords as an innuendo, and someone would buy me an actual sword. That'd be dope.
Yeah,
I'd be more excited about the actual sword
than about the wiener.
Oh my God. I'm leaving that in too.
You leave it good.
Yeah, you have to live with that forever.
That's fine.
I want an actual sword someday. I hope that when Jack proposes,
Don't
it's
we
not.
All, brother.
I hope that Jack does not propose with a ring, but with a sword.
Let me text him real quick.
It'd probably be cheaper. Well,
if you want a good sword.
Yeah. I want a marriage sword.
A marriage sword?
I want a marriage sword.
Shut up.
This is not a bit either. I would love to have a sword.
I don't believe you. I feel like if he got you a sword and not a ring.
Oh, I would be mad.
Yeah, you would be pissed.
But maybe I just want like a sword as like a wedding gift.
Okay, see, that's a little better.
Yeah, I want a marriage sword.
Okay.
And then I want us to have a big fireplace, and I want to hang it on top of my fireplace.
On top of the mantle, yeah.
Yeah.
Did I send you? It's this woman who's been reading the Stormlight Archive.
Mm-hmm.
She was at a convention, and somebody asked her, like, was talking about books and stuff.
Yeah.
And they talked about like fantasy, and she said, "Oh, I've been reading Stormlight." She's like, "Oh, I love fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I really love like romance and like, stuff with a little bit of spice in it." And she asked me like, "Does it have that?"
And she says yes.
And she's like, "Guys, I lied." And I told this girl, absolutely, yes it does.
I did.
And I watched her open up her Amazon and order the book.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the Lord's
Lie to
work.
your friends. Do it.
I haven't lied to my friends, but I'm like, it's genuinely the best thing you'll ever read. Like, I have a friend that he's really into like YA fantasy and like queer fantasy in particular. And I'm like, and he's been reading Mistborn. I don't know where he is in the series, but I know that he like liked it. We like talked about it semi recently.
Yeah.
And so
Do I
now,
know this friend?
No, probably not. I don't think you would.
Haven't met them?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and so they were like, I see you post about Stormlight so much, it makes me want to read it. And I'm like, that's the point. Eventually, I will indoctrinate every single one of my friends into this.
You have no idea the text that I got the other day.
Oh,
Whitney.
yeah? Who sent it to you?
I got a text from my friend Isaac. I might have talked about him before.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I wonder if this Kaladin guy is a main character." I corrected his spelling of Kaladin.
Oh, is he listening to the book?
So he spelled it Callidian.
Wow.
Which is how it sounds.
Yeah, no, I'll give him credit.
And I corrected his spelling and I said, "You started?" And he said, "What if I said no and that I only said that to get your hopes up?" I would say that's a lie because you misspelled his name, indicating you were listening to the audiobook. Also, I just checked. You are using my Audible account and I can see your progress.
That's awesome.
Just a little side tangent. He's only a few chapters in, but he said the jump from when Kaladin was a slave was Kaladin being the coolest guy ever to immediately being a slave kind of threw him off, but he thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only gets cooler, Isaac. You have to keep reading.
Isaac. Hello.
Hello. All right. Chapter 35?
Yes. That's Jenna's brother.
Oh, Isaac?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. The strength of a soldier.
Adolin realizes the caravan following them was really after Nodum and go to his aid. Adolin finds the group attacking Nodum, and him and Maya hold off the group before the rest of the team joins him.
Yeah. The only note I know I have in this chapter, because I remember this very vividly in my brain, is when Maya like helps fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like
by doing the kata and everything. Yeah. It's the dopest thing ever.
It's so cool. It's actually one of the coolest scenes, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
Because he just looks at her from like a distance and yells Maya, and he resets his stance with his arms overhead, holding the sword in a distinctive manner, the way Zahel had taught him to do his morning kata. She glanced at him, and though he couldn't read her scratched out eyes, something changed in her posture. She seemed to understand. She'd done this kata with Adolin every morning out here, and before that, he'd done it with her as his sword countless times. Blessedly, she moved into the same form now, holding the sword in a proper grip, her stance powerful. And so, yeah, it looks like the two of them were like doing these powerful fighting stances, and it gave Adolin time to like really get his bearings at this point in the fight.
Yeah. And the whole thing, Adolin makes it a point to like say like he doesn't think Spren can get killed, but like if you break it up enough, like it'll do something to it.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, you hit what I had to say as well. So, yeah. Chapter 36.
The Price of Honor.
On the return to camp, Vale notices the cube was moved and talks to Pattern. She finds that he is lying to her, and this makes Shallan spiral. They make it to the fortress, and the Honor Spren dismiss Adolin and his letters. He then says that he is there to face judgment for the humans' crimes. Him and Shallan and Pattern all enter in chains.
Speaking of Pattern. Pattern's the one that's been using the cube.
Yes.
Pattern's the spy. Pattern.
Supposedly. Allegedly. Maybe.
Our friend. Our friend Pattern.
Our friend Pattern. What could he be talking to Mraize about?
Right. This one, honestly, I remember reading this for the first time and being like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it was Pattern?
Yeah.
Because, like, we know that he likes lies.
Right.
But we didn't know that he himself could lie.
He can lie. He's not good at it, though.
Yeah, like, we know he can, but he's not very good. So how has he been hiding this from Shallan the whole time? And then you think about it and you're like, well, I guess she outright didn't ever ask.
Right.
So he was able to not, like, say anything. But, like, I can't even imagine him, like, I can't imagine a Spren hiding something. How is he away from her for, well, I guess if, like, her and Adolin go have time together and Pattern's like, oh, let me give him space. Or Shallan says, hey, give us space. Because
Syl can go, like, miles away from Kaladin.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, it kind of really tore me up initially. I'm not going to lie. What do you got, Ryan?
I was not that torn up about it. I don't remember what I thought the first time I read it.
I have a weird attachment to Pattern. I like can't explain it.
I love Pattern.
I don't know why.
I feel like how I feel now. I don't think I believe this.
Right.
Yeah, I really like the interaction that they had with the Honor Spren.
When Adolin's like,
yeah, and they rip up his letters, and then he's like, "Oh my god, I'm losing them." Like, I'm here to
face judgment.
I'm here to face judgment. Yeah, it's just cool. Anyway, chapter 37.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just really interesting. He's like, yeah, I'll just take the blame for literally all of the Radiants.
Yeah, wait, is that what he says?
Well, he says, I've come to face your judgment. You've named us as murderers, traitors. I reject this and vow to prove it. Take me as a representative of the Kholin house and the new government of Urithiru. I am a high prince of Alethkar and the son of the bondsmith. I will stand in the place of those humans whom you say betrayed you. I wish to reject us because of what, or you wish to reject us because of what they did. Prove through judgment that I deserve this treatment. So he's like saying, put me through trial for what you think, or like, you know, the Radiants betrayed you guys.
Yeah.
But I'm the new, I'm the new guy in charge.
Yeah.
Tell me if I really, really should take the blame for what they did hundreds of years ago.
Oh, yeah. And I like when he gets him right here. Yeah. He says, I will stand trial for myself. In turning me away, you insult my sense of dignity, my integrity. You say I am not worthy. When you do not know me, we know humans. I reject that argument. Honor demands that you let me speak for myself. If you are going to punish me, where is the trial? Where is a chance for me to speak? Where is your honor?
Yeah.
This provoked a reaction at last. The three began looking at one another. You are honest, Bran, are you not? You believe in justice and fairness? Let's see if you can uphold those ideals while blaming me for what was done in the past. Let me speak for myself. That's tough. He got him. He got him. Ooh. I love Adolin. Oh, that's my sweet, sweet little boy.
Amazing. All right.
Chapter 37.
Silence from the Dead.
Navani captures Dabbid, leaving a new span read for her. Bentley is with an infiltration team and run across a group of guards and can't handle having killed her first human.
Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
That's all I wrote down.
Okay. No, it's fine. There's a part with Liren and Kaladin at the end of the chapter too.
Oh.
And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because that's the only thing I have notes for, and that's why I was like,
okay. Yeah. Were you shocked when you found out it was Dabbid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too.
Because it's just like the most like Dabbid has consistently been the most like unassuming person the entire time. Because he just like doesn't talk. And he's like, we're like, oh, he's battle shocked and he's like never recovered and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really strange that like he's kind of doing a what is perceived in this moment as in time as kind of like betrayal.
Potential betrayal.
Yeah. Because this whole time he's just been the most unassuming person. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you have to say? Oh, wait, yeah. There's a scene with Liren and Kaladin,
it's
isn't
okay.
there? Huh?
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
What I have marked, and I guess I really won't know what I meant until I started talking about it. Let's see. Oh, it's when they're talking about how the guy that was in the Ardennes show was treated. What was his name? Noril?
Noril.
Noril, that's what it was. And Kaladin says, nobody knows anything because they don't want to know. People like me scare them. Liren says, don't include yourself in that group, son. And it says, he adjusts his spectacles as he held up a medical chart written in glyphs. His father read glyphs far better than Kaladin had ever known. Liren used them like a storm warden. Why shouldn't I? Kaladin asked, stacking blocks again. You're not. Kaladin lowered the chart. Insane? Kaladin asked. That's the problem, isn't it? We don't see them as our brothers, sisters, children. They make us feel helpless. We are afraid because we can't bind a broken mind the way we do a broken finger. So we pretend we've done the best we can by sending them away, Liren said. Or we tell ourselves that they're not really hurt, since we can't see their wounds. You're right, son. Thank you for challenging me. And then they talk about, after that, how it's like kind of messed up that doctors can't read diagnoses and stuff. They have to be like read to them and that should be fixed and whatever. But yeah, it's just really interesting that Liren is kind of in like this weird denial about Kaladin having mental health issues.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with you because you're not insane. And Kaladin's like, but I'm not insane, but I am still like broken mentally.
Yeah.
And like he says, like, you can't see it, but there's still something wrong with me. I don't know. Yeah. That's what I got for that chapter. I didn't have any notes on the earlier stuff.
Yeah. So Raboniel and Bentley have some cool moments and everything. I didn't really mark anything down, though. They're just kind of talking about like the sibling and like what they're eventually going to try and do.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we'll just talk about that when they actually try and do it.
Right. Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Oh,
when Bentley killed like her first human.
Yeah. And it like kind of really like, tore her up.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the first time she's killed like anything.
Yeah.
Because she's always been like a scholar. Quote unquote. And so it's been like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's end comment.
38.
Rhythm of the Terrors.
Navani discovers an explosion that killed 2 scholars and Gavilar's gemstone blew up? ? Cal and Teft are getting a drink and are joined by Relaine. Cal apologized to him and they talk about where Dabbid might be. He agrees to start helping himself along with the others, with the other men. Raboniel starts infusing the pillar with void light and commands the fuse to take the city.
Yeah, I don't think I have any notes.
I loved this scene with Teft and Kaladin and Relaine.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
I don't have I don't have anything marked, but I it's when they're talking about like their time in Bridge 4. And he says like, what do you think of all that time, Relaine? Carrying bridges against your own kind. Didn't think a ton at first, since he was in doll form. I was in damnation, same as the rest of you. Wasn't thinking about spying. I was thinking about surviving. Or about how to get a message to Eshonai. She was our general. His demeanor changed, so did his tone, the cadence to his words becoming slower. The first time I almost died, I realized that the archers would have no idea from a distance who I was. They wouldn't see my patterns. It had been discussed what we'd do if the humans ever started using parchments for runs. And we decided we'd have to drop them, same as humans. Then there I was, staring at my friends, knowing they would do their best to kill me. And that's terrible, Syl said, causing Teft and Relaine to glance at her. Apparently she decided to let them see her. That's so terrible. It's war, you say. Nothing to be done about it. You act like it's inevitable as the sun and storms, but it's not. You don't have to kill each other. So it's not... It really is just like right now in this moment, it's Kaladin, it's Teft, it's Relaine. They're all just in this moment for them. They're veterans.
Yeah.
It's done. And they're just kind of reminiscing about it and talking about it. And I mean, like, have to ask, like, what did you think happened? And that's kind of how you have to deal with it. You have to say, like, oh, it's war.
Yeah.
And it's just war. And that's what it is. And Syl being, a Spren and like you don't have to kill each other, but I mean, like, to them, it's just like us explaining it like this is like, it's the only way we can, go about our day.
Right.
And then Kaladin goes in later and apologizes to Relaine for desecrating the bodies. He says, your sentiment means a lot to me, Cal. It does. And then they talk about Dabbit and they don't know where he is at, but I love this scene a lot.
Yeah.
It's a scene that really, when I read it, kind of choked me up a little.
Yeah.
I didn't like have any like tears or anything, but it made me just kind of stop and like, go back and reread it. And I was just like, man, like, it's just well done. It's just well done, and I like it, and I love the sentiment of the scene of three friends finally sitting down after like all this stuff has happened to them.
Yeah, it's definitely a very touching moment.
And then the very next chapter. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So let's
Calm Before the Storm.
Right.
The Everstorm.
I wasn't sure exactly where we were going with that. I was just like, okay. Chapter 39, Invasion.
Teft begins to seize, and Kaladin shrugs off this strange feeling overcoming him. Vani is trying to interrogate Dabbit and realizes that he is not with the enemy. The stranger talks to Navani on the span reed and realizes the tower is under attack and introduces themselves as the sibling. Taking Teft to a clinic, Kaladin realizes his lashings aren't working and that all the Radiants are unconscious. They go to Liren and Kaladin has a freak out and snaps out of it and is talked down by his father. A lot happens in chapter 39, Whitney.
Yeah. So I actually marked like on the very first page of this chapter here, after Teft starts seizing, it says, Kaladin felt it again, the oppressive sense of gloom and darkness. It felt more external than normal, but he'd learned these last few months that his battle shock could take many forms. He was getting to where he could confront it, but later, not now. And I just thought that was really interesting, that it's like, we know, obviously, it feels like this because there's void light being like put into the tower.
Yeah.
But Kaladin's like, it's just my mental health. And for some reason, it feels more external. But, I've learned that these things can come in different forms. And it's just really interesting that that's his first go-to in this.
That it was his, like, mental health stuff. Yeah. Like, he's just like, like a depressive wave. I found that interesting as well.
And not him recognizing it as like something being wrong elsewhere, but he's just like, this is a me thing. Even though obviously we find out it's not.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then Fenderana, Tef's friend, is also missing at this point once he passes out. And when Navani she finds Dabid and she's interrogating him, he is able to show her that he talks to the sibling through the veins of Garnet in the strata.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, it's really cool. And so that's how we kind of find out like where it's coming from. And she says, thank you. And it says he tapped his wrists together, bridge 4. And I just kind of love that is still, and I mean, even to like Navani, that is a universal thing that everyone recognizes at this point, that is like the bridge 4 salute.
Everybody. Oh yeah, because the and also like the Windrunners came and saluted Kaladin when he was in the infirmary. Yeah.
Everybody knows what that salute is.
Everybody. Yeah. All right.
Do you have any notes?
I'm looking. Hold on.
He's looking.
Yeah. So. Just that they brought Red in to see if he can see any spren around Dabid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they can see into Shadesmar a little bit. Yeah. No, this is just I was like, Red. Red. Shallan's crew. It's cool.
Yeah.
No.
No notes?
No notes.
All right. So chapter 40, in for all.
Navani meets with scribes and some guard and start coming up with a plan with the sibling to save the tower.
I have no notes.
I don't either. Well, hold on. She glanced at the battalion lord again, a lean, balding man with close-cropped hair, a thick neck despite his age, and a powerfully intense stare. She did a double take, dark-eyed. Dalinar had made good on his decision to begin promoting based on merit, not eye shade, but there still weren't many dark-eyed officers. Strangely, some dark eyes seemed to consider the change as unnatural as some of the more high-minded light eyes did. Your name, battalion lord? She asked. Teofil. And she goes on and she says, Bright Lord Teofil is right to have Navani pause. He was a dark eyes, not a bright lord. What did you call a battalion lord who wasn't a light eyes? Or battalion lord Teofil is correct. They have a really Teofil and Navani, like I love their like back and forth where he's just like, I put up with so many like young light eyes who thought they knew what they were doing, but you, Rightness, are the wife of one of the most powerful generals to ever live.
Yeah, and he's like, you read every single battle strategy to him. So I'm going to trust you.
Yeah, dude.
I do love that.
Yeah, so I just had that.
I liked it.
Yeah. So chapter 41.
The most dangerous.
Man. The most dangerous game. Raboniel and Venli meet the pursuer, and he's given permission to hunt Kaladin. Raboniel tells Venli her plan to partner with the humans to end the war. Navani and her group ill-fused using some metal rods to draw away their lightning. Kaladin is being supplied to is bringing supplies to family and has a run-in with a singer.
I have no notes.
Yeah, no, it's mostly like all action here.
Yeah, so it's just hard.
Well, yeah,
I hate the Pursuer. I don't know if I've ever like said that out loud, but
I love the Pursuer just because he's just kind of like tradition. I like him because he's like a Saturday morning cartoon villain.
I get that. Yeah, I totally get that.
He's just like, I am evil and I have a tradition. I kill anyone who kills me.
It's like the Powerpuff Girls villain.
I'm so angry and so big. And like, that's his whole personality. And I find it funny.
No, like, you're so right. Like, it definitely is. It feels very like something I would have seen on the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
Now that you say that. I hate what you've done to me just now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not going to see him as threatening, because before I was like, I hate this guy. He's really freaky.
Oh, no, he's freaky and threatening, but like, I mean.
You just like made him so small cartoony in my brain by saying that.
Because that's all he is. That's all he is. That's all bullies are, Whitney.
Yeah.
They're just small. Remember, don't be like the Pursuer. Don't be small.
Be like Kaladin.
Be big.
All right. Do you have any notes?
Chapter 42.
All right. Armor and teeth.
Kaladin learns that Navani has surrendered, and Fused comes searching for Radiance. Refusing to give away Teft, he kills the group and upsets his father. Cal grabs Teft and heads off alone. I
do have a note.
I loved Liren's speech to Kaladin. Not speech, just like reaction to Kaladin and everything. The whole like, how dare you kill in this place. It just really gets you, probably just because I did listen to that part in the audiobook.
Yeah.
And it's just very well done. And I went back and read it and I was like, yep, this is awesome. And you just really feel his emotion in that place. Because we've seen Liren upset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've seen Liren furious.
Irate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
There's something really interesting that happens right at the start of the chapter. When Navani's still trying to like figure out a way to like fight back. Says footsteps scrape the stone behind her, and Navani turned to see. Oh, I don't want to try to say this name. Ulvuk, Ulvlk, junior of the two Thalen scholars, standing behind her. We use sound, she whispered. If you can make the gemstone vibrate at a certain frequency, it will draw in stormlight regardless of the size of the gems placed next to it. Frequency, Navani said. How did you discover this? Tradition, she whispered, passed down for centuries. Create a vibration. You drilled holes? No, that would require stormlight to be already infused. Tuning forks? Yes, she explained. We touch the tuning fork against the gemstone, making it vibrate. Then can lead a line of stormlight out to the empty one. After that, it will siphon like liquid. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Yep.
That
bringing it back to sound.
Bringing it back to sound, yeah. Like everything comes back to sound and rhythms and whatever. And frequencies, apparently. Mm-hmm. I think that was really crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely kind of a cool world building thing for me. Like I would never have thought of like a tuning fork to be a tool in any of this, but it makes total sense.
Yeah.
When it says it, you're like, oh my God, of course. Let's see. I have one more note. Raboniel does mention that there's stormlight in the tower system. And she says that shouldn't be possible. The sibling cannot create it.
Mm-hmm.
And Venli says, I thought that stormlight is what the Radiants and their Fabrials always used. And then Raboniel says the tower is something else. The sibling, the tower, Urithiru, is the child of honor and cultivation created to fight odium. The place runs on the sibling's light, a mixture of the essences of its parents. Stormlight alone shouldn't be able to work the tower's core systems. Stormlight to the sibling is incomplete, like a key missing several of his teeth. And then Venli says, and with Voidlight, you're using a key with no teeth. Raboniel says, I'm not using a key at all. I'm breaking the lock, which I think is a really cool, like, metaphor there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is where we figure out, because like this whole time that they've been in the tower, they know that things like haven't worked properly, no matter how much stormlight they infuse. And so this is the moment where we find out it's because stormlight isn't the right kind of light that needs to be in here, be in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's interesting.
And it's like, I love that we get so much information about the tower from Raboniel.
Right. From someone that like, literally she says like, the light is, you know, it's supposed to work against us. Like specifically, it is against Odium.
Literally because like, because she's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
And also other fused are afraid of her because she's so crazy smart.
Yeah.
And also did almost kill all the fused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Raboniel a lot as a character.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That's all I got, Whit.
That's all I got, too.
That's all I got.
All right. Let's move on to chapter 43, Men and Monsters.
I just did chapter 43.
What?
Is that not what we did?
No, we did chapter 42. I think...
I read chapter 43's.
Well... Whoopsies.
I did it again.
That's okay.
I'll read chapter 42 real quick. Navani is able to stop the sibling from being taken over. She is captured and surrendered to Raboniel, who is amazed at Navani's engineering. Now I'll read 43 again. Kaladin learns that Navani has surrendered.
Okay, slow down.
Because that's what I talked about. I talked about Lyran's...
You did, and I was a little confused,
but
I was like, oh, maybe it's at the end of the chapter. That's okay. Just read it over again, and then we'll talk about it again.
Chapter 42 is not even important, even though you had so many notes, and I agreed on all of what you said.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's just read 43 again, and then we'll talk about 43 for real this time.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Sorry, everybody.
It's okay. We are human, and human error is very much a thing.
Kaladin learns that Navani has surrendered, and Fused come searching for Radiance, refusing to give away Teft. He kills the group and upsets his father. Cal grabs Teft and heads off alone. Okay, I love Lyran's reaction.
What you said last time now makes so much more sense, because at the time I was just like, yeah, and like I did remember that happening, but my brain was not processing that you like read ahead a little, and it's fine, it's totally fine, but it was just, I was like, yeah man. Mm-hmm. That's so funny. Okay, go speak on it this time, for real.
I just love Lyran's reaction. We've seen Liran upset, but not furious.
Not irate.
Yeah, that. God. I've already said what I needed to say.
Okay. Well, I have a couple notes we can read, and then we can discuss. Let's see. Kaladin makes a comment and says, what if I'm one of those hotheads? What if I can't live with this? Because Liran's like, you need to just leave this alone. He's like, you just need to stop. And Liran stopped in the hallway and he says, I thought we'd already discussed this. And Kaladin says, you think I can ignore the fact that the enemy has conquered my home? You think that you can just turn me into a good, well-behaved slave like me? Liran asked with a sigh. His eyes flicked up, likely noting the brands on Kaladin's forehead, mostly covered by his hair. What would have happened, son, if instead of trying so hard to escape all those years, you'd instead proven yourself to your masters? What if you'd shown them you could heal instead of kill? How much misery would you have saved the world if you'd used your talents instead of your fists? You're telling me to be a good slave and do what I'm told. I'm telling you to think, his father snapped. I'm telling you that if you want to change the world, you have to stop being part of the problem. Liran calmed himself with obvious difficulty, making fists and breathing in deeply. Son, think about all those years spent fighting did to you. Look at how they broke you. That's kind of bars, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next thing of notes that I have marked is when he realizes like he's having a hard time being like, do I move? Do I kill them? I'm thinking about everything my father just said. But the thing that makes him take action is that they were going to take Teft. And it says, Kaladin pulled open the door and stepped into the hallway, feeling the inevitable shift of a boulder perched on the top of the slope, just beginning to tip. Kaladin, Syl said, landing on his shoulder. It was a nice dream, wasn't it, Syl? That we could escape? Find peace at long last? Such a wonderful dream, she whispered. You ready for this? He asked. She nodded, and he stepped into the doorway of the exam room. 2 enemy soldiers had remained in the room, one Warform and the Stormformed Regal. The Regal had helped to get up Teft onto the regular soldiers' shoulders. Liren looked straight at Kaladin, then shook his head urgently, his eyes going wide. You will put him down and leave quietly. Send one of the few to get him if they are so insistent. And then, of course, he then proceeds to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liren afterwards does the, how dare you?
Yep.
How dare you kill in this place?
Yes. Oh, no. Wait, that happened in chapter 42.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's good stuff right there.
Good stuff.
That's good literature.
Man.
Well, Ryan, what'd you think of part 2?
Part 2's awesome. Part 2's so sick, actually. So we talked about it a little bit. Whitney?
Mm-hmm.
My ranking is gonna be pretty off. If this book keeps going how it's going.
Yeah.
It's so much more. Okay. So I'm trying to think here how to word this.
It's okay. Take your time.
Everything feels so much more involved when reading this book, if that makes sense. It feels like, yes, we have all the setup now. Okay, we're a whole book like past this. We're taking our time. We're slowing things down for part 1 and part 2 compared to, I feel like, the last book, where
right,
you had so much happen in that book. And it's been so nice to have those moments, those slower moments. As I said, like the scene in the tavern or the wine house with R'Laine and everything, and the scene with the Starspren with Adolin and Shallan and their just whole journey. Like, yeah, Shallan and Vale and Radiant are like trying to find the spy and everything, but like you also get a lot of world building moments, and that just lets the story just kind of, you just kind of get to chew on the upholstery a little bit. You just get to like really just really good. Not everything has to be like, and then this happened in action and like stabbing and shard blades and light weaving, all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Characters talking is always going to be my favorite things in these books, because they're always the most impactful for me. Now, granted, the cool action stuff, it's always going to be cool action stuff. I'm always going to love that.
Right.
Characters talking is always going to be the things that I probably remember the most.
Fair.
Yeah. Like Liren's reaction to Kaladin. How dare you?
How dare you?
Awesome. I love part 2. I love this book. I literally texted you and said, Whit, it's crazy how this might be the best book.
You say that every time we reread one of these books.
That's not true. That's not true.
Which one did you not say that about?
I did not say that about The Way of Kings.
Yeah.
I do think I said, like, man, it's crazy how this might be like the greatest series ever.
Yeah.
Because it is, maybe.
You said the same thing about Oathbringer, though. You were like, it's crazy, this might be the best book.
I think no. But I Oathbringer, no.
I'm going to go find the clip of you saying that.
It's not, though.
It's not. It is to me.
But she's very beautiful to me.
Exactly. I think my ranking probably, because I'm at the point where I have almost finished this book. I am not at the very end, and I can't remember exactly how this book ends. I got to a part I don't like a whole lot. But I also got to parts that I like a whole lot as well. But my ranking used to be like Oathbringer, Rhythm of War, Way of Kings, Words of Radiance. I think Oathbringer is still my number 1. I think Words of Radiance might be my 2 now.
Yeah.
And then I think it would probably be Rhythm of War, Way of Kings.
Yeah.
I think my ranking is... we will get to that, obviously, at the very end of this.
We'll get to that at the end. I won't tell you mine yet.
But I know that mine has definitely changed. Words of Radiance had a much bigger impact on me this time around than it did the first 2 times.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we are, like, dissecting them a little bit harder. And so I'm critically thinking as I'm reading these books sometimes. Yeah. And I maybe was just reading for leisure or like before. And not that this is not still like leisure. Yeah. But we are dissecting them a little. And I also find that very fun. So.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We get it more in the next part. I know. So listeners, you just get ready.
Just wait.
But we did see it in this. We're getting as the same with Oathbringer. We're getting more Venli as our one of our main characters. And I just love Venli.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the flashbacks a lot more this time around, for sure.
And those happen in part 3, so we can't talk about those yet. But
my lips are sealed.
Yes. Just her whole interaction with Raboniel and Raboniel, man, what a character so far. Just so far. We haven't even seen her quite yet. Obviously we've seen a good bit of her, but she kind of pops off later on in this book. But I kind of adore this antagonist.
Yeah, no, she's great. I really like Raboniel. Yeah. All right. Do you want to wrap up? I know we have another, we usually yap, but since this is the late night listener cast, I do want to say. Normally Ryan and I start recording in the afternoon, but both of us had really crazy schedules the last 2 weeks, so it's been tough for us to find time. So you are getting the late night listener cast right now.
Welcome to late night listener cast. Sit down, relax, pour yourself something nice.
But yeah, we are going to do part 3 after this, and it's already getting pretty late. So I feel like it might be a good choice to not do the yap sesh, at least on this episode.
We won't do the yap sesh on this episode. Sorry, guys. We'll leave you with a fun question.
Yeah, Ryan, what's your question today?
My question today is...
Oh, he's got to think about it. You need to just start writing stuff down.
No.
Okay.
Because I like doing it in the moment.
All right.
What color do you think tastes the best?
Controversial opinion. Red.
That's what I'm talking about, Whitney. It's red. Red flavored anything. I'm always going to go for it.
I am the same way. Yeah.
Gatorade, candy. Probably going to eat that. The red ones first.
Is it because there's what is it, Red 40? Is it because there's Red 40 in
God,
it?
I love Red 40. God, it's so good.
I just tend to this is where I think
I like cherry things.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Okay, I like cherry. I like fruit punch.
Yeah, wow. I think look at us agreeing on something. Our minds. You guys got to get like us. But yeah, so we'll just go ahead and leave you guys here since we're going to do another episode, and we definitely want to be as present as possible for that. And I feel like if we yap for 30 minutes, we're going to get tired and it just keeps getting later. So all that being said, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate every single one of you. We are so close to Wind and Truth. It's actually so crazy. Close. We are so close.
You have no idea how close we are. You don't even know what day it is.
They probably know.
Wake up. Wake up.
It comes out tomorrow. Wake up.
Wake up.
But yeah, so just thank you. This has been a really, really fun journey for both of us, I think. And to be able to share it with more than just each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that being said, be sure to give us a like, a rating, subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Liking on YouTube also helps us get boosted up into the algorithm. Rating on Spotify or whatever streaming service you're using also probably helps with the algorithm. I don't know. I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you. But I'm sure it helps. Send it to your friend if they're doing a reread and they're starting to panic because they're on Words of Radiance and oh my god, the next book comes out in a month. Yeah, to help them get there a little bit faster. Yeah. You have anything else, Ryan?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. We will see you next week for part 3 of Rhythm of War.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. See you later. Bye.
Ta-ta for now.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great time.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, take lots of pictures.
Oh, bye-bye.
Okay, give me a postcard. Bye-bye. See ya. Toodaloo.